Thank you all for joining us. Those of you who are just tuning in, this is Bull Sessions, a brand new radio show brought to you by Willcross Seed. My name is Randy Baker. I'm General Manager of Willcross Seed, and you are?
I'm Brad. I get the privilege of being the agronomist, and I deal when people have issues or questions. I'm the guy they call. And speaking of questions and stuff, we take ideas and questions for here on the air. You can email us at bull@willcross.net. Just simple old bull@willcross.net.
That comes from the title from Brad has been writing a monthly newsletter out to all of our customers. Tell them how they get on that. You can email in and your address or whatever. How do you want to do that, Brad?
We can do it two ways. I just had an idea of how could we get guys to do a better job or try to make more money or give them an idea or just something that nobody else in the seed industry was really doing. So I come up with the idea that my attention span is about 1 page long, and it has to have pictures, and it has to be in color. So every month...
Brilliant.
Well, every month I try to pull out some idea and put it down on a piece of paper and write it all out, and the girls go through and they fix all my proofreadings and my grammatical errors, and they clean it up quite a bit for me, and I appreciate everything they do for me.
Yeah, we do. We love them.
We get that, and I get a picture let's say last November, we had a picture. See that, Randy? I got that copy right there. What is that, and where's that picture taken?
Goodness, I remember that's a combine sitting in the front yard of a new home.
Well, see, we had my test plots at my house, and we farmed right up to about 40 foot from the front porch, and I had the weigh wagon and the combine, and I just needed a spot where I could loop, and I had to do it, Randy.
Yeah, my wife would love that also.
I had to drive the combine 35 times with a corn head on it through the front, through the front yard to dump on the weigh wagon, and
awesome.
Our AgriGold regional agronomist took a picture of it. But with that picture of that combine,
what about combines? That's kind of what we've been talking about today. We're getting ready for harvest. Just to update you, those of you who just tuned in, getting those combines ready to go for the harvest. The better job you do, whether you're raising seed beans or whether you're raising food grade or just your harvest, you don't want to be docked. We want to eliminate that. Our farm economy is tightening up. So we need to milk every dollar we can. So talk to me, Brad.
We were starting about even feeding and getting it so that combine doesn't make that womp, womp sound when we're running grain in there.
Ooh, that's nice.
So we mentioned AgriGold too, and that we were at a meeting with them, and one of their presentators was giving us a presentation about the Weather 360.
Yep.
And some of the Weather 360, what they do, they forecast the weather several months in advance. And one of the forecasts for our area is predicting that it's going to be a cool, wet fall. Well, that's thrilling if you're a combining operator to think that it's going to be wet and cold, and it makes it a lot of fun. So one thing we got to watch about when it's cool and wet, that plastic underneath the platform head, that can start pushing mud pretty easy, and it's sometimes you got to replace that plastic piece and bite the bullet there, and you can't save it. But now's the time where if you have the patience and can work with a little bit, maybe you can take that out, tweak it around and put a little elbow grease in it and put new rivets in it, and you can fix that plastic without having to buy a new one.
Yeah.
And another deal to talk about, if that stuff piles up on the head, you got something not working right.
You just run it on through?
Well, no. It gets that whomp sound, and it just don't work good, And one thing I was thinking about, Randy, do you got any tall water hemp, or have you seen any of that?
No, it's almost non-existent in Missouri. Of course, I've got it everywhere. I look like I've got volunteer beans coming up in my fields.
Well, that nice water hemp, I found one good thing about it.
Oh, really?
Yes. It helps them beans feed in better. If you've got a lot of water hemp, it'll feed in better. So
I would rather not worry about that.
You don't want to have that problem.
don't.
So
No,
you want to
thank
work
you.
on the combine?
Let's work on the
Okay.
combine.
Okay. So we're talking about even feeding, and we kind of beat that horse pretty hard there. So we'll move on to just simple stuff like belts.
Like our belts, like we
Yes.
did last year. We had going up to our leg. It was cold, and I don't know what happened, but the belt broke.
Well, those tend to do
Do
that.
combines do that?
Well,
surely not.
There's several belts on the combine.
Not
and,
at harvest.
Well, and then things, that combine, we use it there and we run it for a few months in the fall really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then it sets for all year. I do get mine out for a little bit of wheat, but you run it for a couple days, then you put it back in the shed. It just kind of gets the battery charged up and limbered up, but those belts set and then they dry out.
Flush
and then,
some ice out.
all that, we just got to walk around and check them because either way, you're going to have to buy a new belt, but maybe you don't have to dig everything out of the combine because it's plugged up because the belt came off. Or I lost a belt one time on the fan and went up, I was cutting beans and I was looking along and I'm like, man, there's just a lot of pods in the tank. What is going on? Did something break? Did I open the set? What was going on?
You looked in that window behind you and
yes,
saw that?
That big window behind me.
I'm proud of you.
I know. I think at least every hour you ought to look at that, right, Randy?
Yeah, it would help. I'd appreciate it.
But we're looking at that, and come to find out, the variable speed belt there that you can adjust your fan speed on, well, it wasn't there no more.
Oh.
So we got to shut down,
Good.
and
Good times.
we got to run to the deer dealer, and thankfully it was during the week. It wasn't on a weekend, or it wasn't, after hours at night. We were able to get the part and work on getting it back on, and only lost maybe half a day.
Oh, life is good.
But
So, okay, tell me more. Of course, we need to keep checking on the belts. Grazing. What is probably one of the most important things a combine operator should do, other than everything you said, because it's all important. But when everything is synchronized and working good, it doesn't matter what it is, your trucks, your combines, your grain carts, your tractors, everything. It's just the preventive maintenance, the keeping up.
And to stay calm and have patience. I mean, I like to get wound up and excited, but when I get wound up and excited, it don't help matters.
It makes it worse. I've seen you get wound up and excited every harvest.
Well,
I want you to practice what you preach this year.
Well,
Set the example.
It's a process, Randy. It's a slow process. And, I think some programs have 12 steps. And
Yeah.
I don't know if Patience has 12, but I'm looking for the staircase at least.
In your case, yeah, well, look good.
I'm looking for the staircase, and that's going to be the process.
That's a big plus.
Okay. Simple things like, you can take a big machine and one danged old hydraulic hose can bring you to your knees.
Okay.
That's an annoyance. And then it's not just buying the hose, it's buying 15-gallon of high-dollar oil and packing it up and putting it in and making a mess out of everything. And then you got dust from when you're cutting beans or corn or whatever, and you've got hydraulic oil, and then you've got a big mess on the side of your machine. One thing we did on mine, we put new augers in it. They were getting sharp. A lot of those augers, I think some of them were the originals. We changed the augers, so then things going to work better.
You basically rebuilt yours here this summer, didn't you?
It needed it, and it was time. I mean, it'd been several years before we'd done anything.
Sure.
So everything comes due, and it was a whole lot cheaper than buying a new one because, I can't go to the dealer and just order a new one. If I get any equipment, it's usually off Craigslist or Tractor House,
Well, and I think a lot of us are in that way this year, and especially when we're dealing with commodity prices that we're dealing with. And, our bushels, I question that the yields are going to be what we're hearing, from government reports and so forth, but they're not bad. They're going to be good.
Yes. I mean, so we need a little help on the price, though. I mean, the price is it makes it tough to do all this because we have to have the price and we have to have the yield, but we gotta be able to get it to town because if we can't get it to town, it doesn't do us any good.
No.
Another thing we got to looking at is the back of that combine. You know, we've got that chopper, and my chopper wasn't exactly straight.
Okay.
Well,
that's good.
Well, Dad had the idea several years ago that we only needed 12 rows at one end of the field. And somehow we got a little close to some trees. Do you have trees around any of your fields?
I do.
Well,
I do.
Them limbs tend to grow and encroach. And we got some of our fins were bent, and I found a couple other things with the back of the combine.
Was you in a hurry?
Well,
somewhat.
I would never be.
Go
in a
ahead,
hurry,
move
Randy.
on.
But we bent those fins up, and I ended up going ahead and putting all new fins and all new metal work back there. When we're looking at that, we've got to make sure we're spreading that residue out. We want it to cover the full width of our cutter bar. So let's say I'm running a 6-row corn head and a 20-foot bean head. I'm going to have to change to make sure I'm throwing that residue out far enough. You know, a lot of guys run a 8-row corn head, which is 20 foot, and a 30-foot bean head. So they've got to change that of the big difference.
We're going to have to sneak out of here for just a minute, Brad, and then we'll come back and hold that thought. We thank all of you for listening and hope you will stay. We'll just take a brief short break for a minute. Any questions, remember, email us bull@willcross.net. Okay, we'll be right back with more Bull Sessions on 680 KFEQ.